We are pleased to be joined now by our MLB insider, Ken Rosenthal. Ken, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We know you've been a little busy this week, but let's talk about the big name, shall we? Juan Soto is atop of the trade talk, but how quickly do you see this playing out? Could we see a deal done before the trade deadline, or do you think this is going to drag out?
Carly, it's always difficult to predict timing on these things, but generally speaking, these things do drag out, and they drag out because the deadline creates the greatest leverage. So if the Nationals take it to the very end, their chances of increasing the panic level of teams interested in Soto go way up, and that's what they want. They want a frenzy, and they want to create that frenzy. Now, the only way that would not happen, I imagine, is if a team stepped up and said, you know what, we'll do this, we'll do it on the terms that you desire, and let's go. But I have a hard time seeing that happen. And the other thing, Carly, that works against something quick is just the need for scouting extensively that will take place here. You're going to need to look at another team's list of prospects quite thoroughly and understand what you might be getting, or giving, I should say, for Juan Soto, and getting, for that matter. And all of that just kind of adds up to a slower process.
All right, and for those of us here north of the border, Ken, it is hard not to see some of these tantalizing headlines that the Blue Jays could be the favorite to land Juan Soto. So what do you think it would take, and do you see the Jays being a team realistically in the mix to land him?
Well, I don't know that any team is the favorite right now, Carly, and the Blue Jays certainly should be a team in the mix because they have a deep prospect base, a fairly deep one. They have a definite need for a left-handed hitter. We've been talking about this for quite some time now. So you look at that and say, okay, why not? Now, the problem is the cost. And teams today are reluctant to give up multiple young players for anybody. The difference here is you're getting a young player. Juan Soto is 23 years old. And you're getting him not just for the rest of this season, but the next two seasons as well, or at least you'll have that control over him. Granted, his salary will rise. He's at $17.1 million now. It'll go up to 22, 25 next year, and then beyond that. But if you're the Jays, it's a pretty intriguing thing. And I know teams hate the trade prospects. We go through this every deadline, but my goodness, some of the prospects are probably older than Juan Soto. So, yes, the Jays should be in the mix. Any team with World Series aspirations should be in the mix for him. Now, whether you want to do it or not, whether you have enough to do it to satisfy the Nationals, that's another question. But you have to make the phone call, put it that way.
All right, let's stay with the Blue Jays and Ross Atkins and his to-do list before the deadline. What type of a move do you think that he could or should be making?
Probably multiple moves, Carly. And certainly you start with the bullpen. That's been an area of need for the Jays pretty much all season. And it's something that they have to address, probably not just with one reliever, but multiple. They also have concerns about their rotation depth. Their loss of Ryu has created that concern. And I would like to see them get another starter as well. It doesn't have to be one of the top-end starters, or it could be, but certainly someone to give them innings at the back end and not force them to rely so much on Stripling as they go forward here. And finally, we mentioned it earlier, the left-handed hitter, the person that would balance their lineup, doesn't have to be Juan Soto, but certainly that is something they could add, and that would help them at least off the bench if they could acquire such a piece, and if they can get someone who is worthy of a starting role, all the better.
All right, and one more name I want to throw your way is that of Shohei Ohtani. Is the sun potentially setting on his time in Los Angeles, or is this just crazy talk?
It's crazy talk as far as trading for him is concerned. He's not going to get traded from everything I hear, and I've asked multiple times, believe me. And the reason he's not going to get traded is, one, the owner, Artie Moreno, has been portrayed already as a villain for the performance of this team over the last, several years. And he doesn't want to be portrayed as a villain even more. And if you trade Shohei Ohtani, guess what? It doesn't look too good. That's one reason. The other reason, and it kind of is parallel with the Juan Soto situation, you probably can't get what you want for Shohei Ohtani. Now, in the Angels' case, they're not going to want prospects, or at least major league ready players like the Nationals. They're going to want major leaguers. You're trading Shohei Ohtani, granted, it's only this season and next season, as opposed to Soto, who has the extra year compared to Ohtani. But the Angels are in no position to take a step back. The Nationals already have. And if they if they're going to trade Juan Soto, well, they're conceding that they're rebuilding. The Angels do not want to do that. So if you want major league players at this time of year, it's tough to do that with a contender because the contender is going to say, no, we need these guys for our club. So I do not see Ohtani getting traded as enticing an idea that would be, but I do see when he becomes eligible for free agency after the 2024 season, it's getting more difficult to envision him staying with the Angels.
All right, Ken. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to break things down for us. We know you've been busy with the All-Star festivities. We look forward to seeing you and your bow ties back at a ballpark real soon.
Thank you, Carly.